Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Procrastinator's Pit Stop. I am sitting with another amazing guest for you right now. We have with us Candace Pendleton, and she is the CEO founder of Commodities University. Candace, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're excited to have you here. I mean, we had a little bit of a preamble before, so I think it's going to be a great conversation. But before we go diving into it, we do like to have an icebreaker on the show. And the question for you today is, which cartoon character do you resonate with the most, and why?
It's the Crusader rabbit, the little rabbit with the big ears and the red cape, and he'd always be at everybody's side helping. And of course, the police would come to get him for helping or whatever. But he was all my idol was always the Crusader rabbit.
I like that one. I like it. And they even got the red jacket today too.
Yeah, red's my favorite color, even though it's not the best when we're trading, because red means you're in a losing trade. But that's what I teach them to get out really quick. We don't want big red, we want big green.
Sounds interesting. We'll have to dig into that in a little bit. Just to start things off, how would you define procrastination, Candace? And what does it mean to you personally?
Procrastination. Like I told you earlier, I was the princess of procrastination for years when I was much younger. Couldn't get anything done. What I do now, what I learned through years of trauma, you don't really learn anything until you have pain of not getting anything done because I had too much to do and I had too many things going. I was like, so I would just procrastinate. So I got therapy, I got help. And what I learned was really to prioritize everything on my list. I had a to-do list this long, and then I prioritize with the A, things that are most important. A and B or C, kind of, and then C, maybe that. And then once you prioritize, then I would block them together. Like my A's were all of in my personal time that I wanted to do that was really important. And then A's for my business, or then A's for my friendships, or what I needed to do over there. All A's, but you prioritize them. That's the most important thing, because you'll never get, well, I hate to say never. It's really difficult to get out of your own way if you don't know what's important, right? I mean, at least for me, I've got to prioritize. And then what I do is I block the time for that, where I would say, because typically I'm not lazy at all, but I love being lazy. I'm not a lazy person. I'm the opposite of that. But because I'm on such high drive most of the time, I love being lazy. I love just chilling out, reading a book, going to play with my horse, hang out with my friends, just doing nothing and being happy doing nothing. But I don't want to do that all the time. So for me, that lazy time, I call it, because I want to make sure it's not relaxing time, because my brain has to understand lazy is lazy. Lazy is lazy. You can't be lazy all the time or you get nothing done. So I want to be lazy. I want to do my lazy time, my fun things. So I would get rid of the ones that I had to do first in my A list. Then I look at the four lists that I had. Let's say I had my personal time with my friend. I had my business time. I had with my husband, and then anything else that was there, which is most important to me. And then I'd categorize that and block the time out. Okay, this morning I'm going to spend 1 hour doing the A list for my business, 1 hour doing the A list for this, 1 hour doing for that. And then when I'm done with that, I tell myself, then we could go play. Then we could go have fun. We could go relax. We could go be lazy, go to the beach, do whatever we want. But the most important things were done. And then because just the human nature, at least mine is, after the A thing was done, I'd look and I'd say, okay, what else needs to be done? Because it was still 9 o'clock in the morning and I don't want to go to the beach at 9 a.m. So I'd say, okay, what else needs to be done? And then to the brain, because it's all between the ears. It's 98% of everything that we do is mental. Your mental muscle is the most important thing. See this over here? I teach people how to make money with this little black screens over here. And the human brain doesn't understand what the heck is a screen. I don't know what that. So we give three-dimensional metaphors for everything so that the brain can understand it. But what I've learned in studying, because the psychology of trading, it's not my system. I software. I have RoboTrader that I created. He's mine. His name is Roberto, but it's not Roberto. It's what's between their ears. See, if they have anybody, and whether they're trading or they're doing anything else on Spotify or working or doing what you do, our mindset is the most important thing that we have. It is our mental capital. And our mental capital is more important than what's in your back pocket, because we can make money all day long. Even if you think, I have no money, you can go buy oranges and sell them on the street corner. You can do anything to make money. But once your mental capital is gone, you're done. You're done. And that's what happens when people go off the edge is when their mental capital is so destroyed by either events, horror, tragedy, whatever, or just being lazy and not really getting business done. And yeah, it feels good to be lazy. So I use my lazy as a goal for the day to be able to get my stuff done that I don't want to do. And then what I've learned, this is so important, Chris, is to identify what I really don't want to do and then make that a category. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to do that anymore. And so I'm not going to do that anymore because that anything we don't want to do creates anger, angst, upset in our heart and creates dis-ease. And dis-ease is disease. So I buried my husband 36 years ago because he was an engineer and didn't know how to emote. And emote is emotions, happy, sad, whatever. He didn't know how, he picked me because I'm the opposite of that. And so we're married for 8 years. We had two babies and little B one, the oldest one was 2 and the baby was 6 months. And Bill didn't know how to emote. And I never saw him shed a tear, Chris, till the day before he died. He died of cancer. Once the diagnosis hit, he was 62 days and he was gone. And it was the most devastating thing for me. I was in a hole in the ground. I didn't know what I was going to do. If I didn't have my kids, I'd have probably gone off the edge of the cliff, honest to goodness, because I was so destitute. What am I going to do? How am I going to do it? Because I wasn't prepared. If somebody has a long, lengthy illness, a year, 2 years, you're kind of prepared. But this was quick. So being able to organize my life and organize my habits, because it's a habit, right? And what's a habit? We can break habits. And this is what I train my people about because a lot of people don't know how to trade. They're intimidated. They think they can't do it. They're not smart enough. They don't have enough money, all false beliefs. And that's the number one thing that we tackle is false beliefs. So you have to first identify, why don't you want to do that chore, whatever it is? Well, I don't want to clean the house because obviously it takes energy. So all I have to do is pick up the phone and call a housekeeper or do it myself. And if I don't do it, then what happens? The house gets dirty. And then I get really frustrated because I don't like mess and clutter and dirt, right? So it's all about identifying, why are you procrastinating? Just ask yourself. It's a rhetorical. You don't have to tell me. Why, why am I avoiding doing that? I don't want to do it. Then write it down. I don't want to do that anymore. Then do it once, get it rid of and figure out, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to do that. And it could be anything, just for instance, for myself, I'm selling a piece of property that was burned down in one of these wonderful California wildfires. The house was my home that I built 36 years ago and raised my kids in. And I just loved it to death. Loved the property. It was an acre and a half. We had everything, skateboards there. We had horses. We had, you know, everything for kids. They called it Camp Pendleton because there was so much to do for kids to come over. And the gate was locked, so kids couldn't get out. So everybody came over to my house. So sometimes we have 10, 15 kids on the property, and it was absolutely wonderful. So the memories, oh my gosh, all of Bill's memories were down in, it was acre and a half, and we had storage. I built storage units down there, the big storage unit for all of our stuff. And, we all have stuff. And all of his stuff was down there. And they lost their husband they lost their father once, and when he died, they were babies. They never really knew him or remembered him. And then they lost him again when the house went down and the Woolsey fires back in 2018. And this house has been for me my greatest asset. Thank you, Bill, so much. And also my greatest burden because it's a property you have to manage. And now it's just a piece of dirt. And I had to get permits on. The story goes on to the point where if I told you, you'd want to lay down and cry. I bared the burden. I did it. I did it for Bill. I did it for me. I did it for my children because you have to do it. Could I have procrastinated on that? Yeah, you bet. I did, actually. I did. I procrastinated for 2 years getting the permits ready because then right after the fire, it's like God has graced me with all these really bad things that happen. But I don't believe they're really bad things. They're challenges that he put on my desk to say, okay, girl, can you handle this? Okay, girl, can you handle that? And it's not the problems you have, it's how you handle them. And then not only how you handle them, but then this is just my belief. I call it a Candicism, is that when you have a problem and you solve it, it may not be a complete solution, but you overcome it. That's my job then to go and share with other people to help them overcome that same problem because I'm a helper and I help people. That's just what I love it. I love it. And I love giving someone the energy that they don't have to face their life, to go forward. Because life is and then you die. So what else you got? You got to deal with it. Got to deal with it. So pardon me, the procrastination, which one is giving you the worst problem? Because there, on my desk, I probably have 10 problems that I have to solve every day. So do you. Everybody does out there that's listening or watching this. You have problems. That's what life is all about. It's not the problems. It's how you solve them and how you turn around that problem into a benefit, to something that's good. Yeah. Right after the fire happened in November 18th of 2018. And then in January of that year, right after the holidays, my son came to me. He's a grown man. He's 31 at the time. Said, Mom, I'm having a stroke. I was like, so got him to the hospital. He had a tumor the size of a lemon behind his right ear. And everybody watching, listen to this, do not put your phone up to your ear. And this is when we had G4, not G5. There's radiation there, honey. And I took him to 3 different neurosurgeons, and they all said, first thing, hi, Hunter, nice to meet you. I'm Dr. So-and-so. Which ear do you listen to your phone on? Right ear. Tumor. A melanoma, a melangenoma, or something like that, but it wasn't cancerous. All right, thank you, God. But we had to go through that. He was 31 years old, had no insurance. The trials and tribulation from that lasted a year because he's my baby. He's 31-year-old baby. And I had to take care of him. That was my job. That was what I wanted to do. He didn't move in with me, but I got him an apartment right down the street. And so that was my job. The property was burned out in dirt. It looked like a bomb hit it. Just let it sit there. And so it was the last house on the block, literally. There were 11 houses on my street that got burned down. 651 in the Malibu area where we were. Every bomb hit. And so I just let it be done. I don't care until they started giving me citations. You got to get it. You got to get this cleaned up. And then that's when Hunter was out of the hospital and it was successful. It was a 21-hour surgery. You and I, Chris, well, you're a young man also. I would have never survived that. But he was 31 at the time. And, he just popped right up again. It was amazing. I have pictures of him. It was a horrible situation, but it was beautiful and wonderful because he and I bonded. I forgot to tell you the whole the reason for this is he and I were not close. He was really angry at me for a lot of years. And it was 31. I didn't talk to him from the time he was 18 until he was 28. 10 years, 10 years. He didn't like me. And so talk about tears. And how can I fix this? God, how can I fix this? I don't even know where he is. I didn't know how to reach him. I didn't know if he was dead. I mean, the horror that when he finally showed up, I was like, yeah, I wasn't going to let him go. He's here. Okay, so what can I do? How can I fix this problem? But getting back to procrastination, he is the biggest procrastinator. He will leave piles of stuff, and I'm like, and he can only do it himself, right? We can what is that cliche? You can bring a horse to water. He ain't gonna drink unless he wants to drink. So finally, Hunter got it. And he was like, he watched me clean things up. I was like, I'm not going to be procrastinating, baby, because life is too short. I need to find something right now. I need to do it. So I need to be organized. So procrastination is a part of being organized. That's all it is. It's just a side benefit of it. Procrastination is telling you something about yourself. Just identify, what is it? Ask. And our greatest friend is up here, our brain. Our brain, he or she is designed by a higher power to take care of you, to defend you, to make sure that you're okay, to keep you happy, whole, and healthy. Believe it or not. But the brain, if people understand this, you could talk to your brain. Talk to him or her all the time. Export. If you're with your significant other, read something, because exporting, your brain remembers it. When you think about something, you have a million thoughts a day. But until you say, okay, remember this. Remember this. Or if you say to your brain, why am I procrastinating on this? Tell me. And then just close your eyes and be still. It's going to pop up. Your brain is your best friend. He's your mental capital. He or she is the reason you're alive. And just imagine, we lived in the caves 10,000 years ago. This is what I tell my people. All right. I can't do this. Yes, you can. You're here because you're a hunter. You're alive because you're a hunter. And there's a lot of people that are gatherers, right? They want to just gather and cook and clean. That's fine. We need that. I need 100 of those for one of me. All right. So determine, are you a hunter or you're a gatherer? It doesn't matter. Yes, there's crossovers for both because grandma and grandpa 10,000 years ago, way back in our history, dropped the DNA. And you're here because you have a beautiful DNA and use it. Don't procrastinate. Just figure out and identify what do I not want to do first, make that pile over there, and then do the piles that you do want to do. And why are you procrastinating over that one? Well, I'm not organized. Get organized and just do the ABC. Everything that you have to do, make your A list, B list, C list, and then sort it on your Excel spreadsheet. And all the A's conquer one big thing. That's it. I tell my traders one good trade, not 1,000 where you, no, one good trade. I want clean and pretty charts. I want you to get in. I want you to take the run down, 500 to $1,000 in 10 minutes. Take it. Boom. You're done and gone. That's it. Same thing in life, guys. Same thing in life. Take it. We're here. And this is for me, this is just, again, another Candiceism. The world is full of nutsy people and crazy things that are going on right now that really worry me, but can I control it? Let it go. Ask yourself, can I control this? What can I do to make this better? Nothing. I'm talking about the economy. I'm in California in LA. The land of the fruits and the nuts. They said that. That is absolutely true. You'll see so many fruits and nuts and they're not on trees. But they may call me a fruit or a nut and I don't care because I'm real. And the people that I want in my life are real people. Anybody who says to me, if I meet them at a cocktail party or something, I always ask, Chris, I ask a lot of questions because I'm curious and I'm interested. It's not nosy. I'm interested. If I ask a question, hey, where'd you grow up? Oh, I was Santa Monica. How was your childhood? Oh, it was perfect. Really? How were your parents? Perfect. Really? Okay, next. Because they ain't nobody perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody had a perfect childhood or perfect growing up because we're human beings. And the bottom line is that anybody who thinks they should have had a perfect life, that's the problem with them, is realigning what their ideals are, their goals. What are your goals? Where'd you come from? Mom and dad did their best, honey. You know that. There's so many stories that I have that aren't poignant to this conversation, but just know that the ones who have been through hell and back and are still standing and have a story to tell, those are the ones you want to go talk to. Those are the ones that you want to be friends with in the cocktail party and say, tell me about that. How did you do that? What's going on? And people that ask questions are the people who are inquiring minds. I've had one guy, I don't ask him questions anymore because he said to me, he's an in-law, right? So I can't get rid of him. But he said, why? Am I being interrogated? And I was like, okay, next. People want to share their life story. People want to talk. They really do. People want to have people to care about them and be interested. And that's me. But getting back to procrastination, you've got to do the job. End of story. Procrastination just means that you're pushing it down. You're kicking the can down the road. Well, what's going to happen? You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be overwhelmed. You're going to be kooky crazy because you got all the stuff on the desk. You don't know what's going further. That story. And that story, I've been there. I mean, there's times when I forget to put on my big boy hat. I like to say, all right, let's get to work and do this. Because sometimes it's hard. There's no question about it. That's the 1%. The 1% in the world do what the 99% won't do. That makes sense? So if you're going to be a 1%er and change the world, change your life, change your future, change your finances, change your family's future, it's got to be you. And you must be organized. You must. Otherwise, the world has too much clutter and you're going to be stuck with all this stuff that's sticking to you and you can't get forward moving. The deal is you want to be forward moving. In order to get forward moving, you have to put in drive. How to have some gas. You have to have some gas and you have to know how to push the pedal down. Well, you're sitting in drive in procrastination. Where's that going to get you? Nowhere. You're going to run out of gas just sitting there, girl. Get on your horse and ride, honey. And if procrastination gets in your way, beat the crap out of it. Just beat the crap. Anything that gets in your way. And this is, I teach my traders this also. So this is nothing new. It's about false beliefs. False beliefs are holding you back from procrastinating. Whatever your project is that you're procrastinating on, it's just false beliefs. I can't do it. I don't have enough time. I'm not smart enough. Blah, blah, blah. They're all just lies. There's stuff we've been fed somewhere in our childhood growing up. Somewhere you heard that. I heard, yeah. Okay. My childhood was before they had identified what ADHD is. But that makes me who I am. I'm individual. Nobody else is like me. People who are ADHD, many of them are the leaders. All right. Because we're like, get out of my way. I'm going to do it. You can follow me, but don't get in my way. Can you stand aside, please? When I'm on a walkway, stepway, stairway, people are in front of me going really, really slow. Unless they're really old and decrepit, I'm like, excuse me, excuse me. That's what you need to do in life because there's going to be duds in front of you. Duds. And we, just as adults, a human being, have to decide who's a dud or who's worth my time. And your projects are the same way. Which one's a dud? That's a D or an F. You shouldn't even be doing that one. Just throw him away or put him down there if somebody's asked you to do the D or F job. See, this is where I got into the problem, is that people would dump on me things because they knew I was a go-getter and I was going to do anything that was on my desk. People would dump their problems on me. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? My husband is the best one. He gives me, can you do this, honey? Can you do that? I'm not going to say no. So I do it, even if it's a D or F for me, but that's for him. It's not really for me. And that's not, I don't procrastinate on that. I do it for him because I know he gives me so much. And so it's about giving. But if somebody that, like a neighbor, can you do, no, I'm sorry. Learn to say no. Learn to say no. I'm sorry. I just can't do that. My plate's full. My calendar's full. I just can't. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with saying no. What is wrong is taking it on your desk and then procrastinating because it's a D or an F trait, D or an F down there. You don't want to do it. Right? Does that make sense? Do you ever have that problem?
A D or an F. Ooh, all my days are full of D and Fs today. But yeah, but what I do is those things that I love how you said those things that you just have to do. But I feel like if we just give ourselves the power back because we do have the power because there's literally two things in this life that aren't a choice: coming into the world and going out of the world.
That's
Everything
right.
else in between.
Choice. That's right. Well said. And it's power and being in control. And those are power words for me because being a Southern girl, honey, I was raised in the South. Sit down and shut up. That's what I heard my whole life because I'm a talker. Well, before they knew what ADHD was, or before they knew any kind of learning difficulties, I was one of those that was labeled the talking one. All I heard growing up, the most that I can remember, not from my mama, but from my dad and from other people, is sit down and shut up. Sit down and shut up. So what happened to it comes out the other end. Now I'm like this because I love to talk. I mean, it's just an expression of my love. I don't talk about stupid stuff. I talk about people. I don't talk to myself. I talk to when I have someone, anyone, next door neighbor, anyone, the market, the grocery market, the superstore, whatever. How you doing today? What's going on? How's your day going? They look at you like you're nuts, especially in LA, right? But why not? Just take yourself out of who you are, where you are, and become what you want to become. That's all it is. It's power and it's self-control. Because if we don't have self-control and getting that stuff done, right? Getting that stuff done. And what did I say earlier? Oh, I know it's a bumper sticker. Somebody said to me the other day, if it's to be, it's up to me. How about that? That's a bumper sticker. If it's to be, it's up to me. Now, how important is that to me? That thing that I have to do, how important is it? And you could rate it on a 1 to 10, A, B, C, D. If it's an A or a B, because okay, where my husband says, can you scan this for me? It's not important to me. It's important to him. It's an A to me because I love him. See, so it's transferable. It's not all about me, but the things that are on my desk, they're at the end of the day, are about me. How can I move my business forward? How can I help more people? How can I create more programs for them? How can I create more courses? I'm always thinking about that, but I'm writing it down and then I'm identifying A, B, C, D. I have that problem. Trust me, guys. And it's procrastination is like breathing, especially as we get older and have more responsibilities and take on more. See, I'm a take oner. If I can complicate things, I will definitely complicate things. It could be the most simple task to do, but okay, let's do it different. Let's add on. Let's do that. No, let's just do it simple. And that's what I'm learning at my ripe old age, is just simplify. I don't need all this stuff. And so it just goes back to really, in like you said, Chris, power. Who's got the power here? Me. I have the power. And so I'm not going to load on excess stuff. I'm going to unload stuff so that I can travel more, be with my family, enjoy life more. I don't want to be a workaholic. I've been that for 20, 30 years. And I started this 20 years ago, and I love trading. I'm a trader. God gave me this skill. It's so wonderful. And I can teach, because that's what my undergraduate is teaching, is a secondary degree. But I didn't like to teach teenagers because they were so snotty and snippy at me. And I was like a little bitty girl, and they were like 6-foot basketball players. I didn't like teaching teenagers in high school. But then I got out and I said, I like teaching adults because they want to learn. So I've been a teacher for 20 years. But the deal of it is that identify where you want to go in life. That's the easiest thing. You've got the power, and your brain is your best friend. Okay, let's say, for instance, I wanted to become, and this is not true, this is just an analogy that I'm giving you. I want to become a professional dancer, where I want to be on television and TV and da. I'm 20 years old, and I could do it because I've been dancing my whole life. Make a visual entry into your brain of what that looks like. A visual entry of what it looks like with you successful dancing on the stage, your ballerina, whatever you're going to do. Ballerina, you're successful. Not how you got there, but what it looks like, what it feels like, what it tastes like, what it smells like. That's your goal. Now, your ideals is how you're going to get there. It's tactics. Your strategy is, I want to become, and you're 20 years old, 15, whatever. I want to become X. I want to become a dancer, a professional dancer, where I'm on television, I'm well known. Okay, how are you going to get there? Then the tactics are how are you going to get there, the steps to get there. I can almost promise you, anybody who's listening to this, watching this, when you want something so badly, you probably don't procrastinate about it. You probably get it done because you're hungry for that. And if you're not hungry for that, then it's not the right goal. No. There's too many things to obstruct, get in the way of that goal, unless you're like, nobody's going to take it from me. Get out of my way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, you said you hit the nail right on the head there too. It's all about being interested or in lack areas where you lack interest.
Yeah.
Just getting curious.
Yeah. 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 Just curious. And some people aren't curious, and that's okay because they're autonomous. They don't need it. That was just a little side note here. That was my sweet, wonderful Bill Pendleton. He was an engineer, just so you guys know, there's nothing wrong with that. He was an engineer and was myopic. He was extremely focused on anything you had to think in squares like this. All right. You couldn't color outside the lines. Well, look at me. I was coloring all over the place. I know you got to color in the line. But when he never reached out, he didn't try to do things that weren't in his lane. Right. And I can't criticize that, but look where he is. All right. I can only look at results. And you guys have to know that when you want something really, and again, it depends on what you're after. If it's money and you're after money and you identify the fact, look here. Okay. I want to make $300 a day and my home office, no job, no job, no BOSS, nobody bother me, just me, my computer and my system and Candace helping me make $300 a day. I want that. I'm going to get that. How are you going to get that? Then we're going to step into steps to get that. You hold on to that like it's a dog with a bone and never stop, and you'll get it. You know that. But the desire has to be first. The true desire. If you're like, I don't really know, then that's not desire. That's ambivalence. And ambivalence is going to cost you time, money, effort, tears. If you're ambivalent about anything, you could be ambivalent about, am I going to buy this? Am I going to buy that? That's not about a life choice. Getting straight and narrow about your life choices is the first thing that we all have to learn. And get rid of the false beliefs. Forget about what you heard from mom and daddy. Forget about that. But it's going to come up and haunt you. And this is what I've learned. This is not something that I created. I learned this. I paid for it. Big bucks, honey. When Bill died, I was just so distraught with these two babies. And the psychiatrist in the terminal ward at UCLA said to me when I was crying, I was like, oh my God, Bill won't talk to me. He's shut down. And the psychiatrist said something to me very poignant. He said, the way you live your life is the way you're going to end your life. How poignant is that? Bill was autonomous. He didn't want or need anybody else. He was just a straightforward, I could do it on my own. I don't need anybody else. And oh yeah, okay, you're a wife. And okay, you're a kid and I love you, but I don't need anybody else. And look where he is. So I, on the other hand, God forbid, if God said to me, okay, it's ready. I'm calling you home, honey. And here's this horrible disease that you've got. And it's going to take you 3 years of pain getting through it. I say, no, we're checking out here really early. We're going to go to one of those states. It might be Canada. It might be Oregon, where we could just take the pill and be it over with. And I don't have to put my family through that and have a big party. I want to party when it's at the end. I want to party every day. I want to laugh again. And you don't have to party with drugs and alcohol. You can just party with happy people. See, happiness is contagion. Don't you feel it? If you're over here, I'd give you a big hug right now because hugs are contagious too. You got to touch. You don't have to do anything. I have to touch. I have to squeeze. I have to hug. It's just the way I am. It's the way my brain was built. And so if you don't like it, I can feel it. My son, God gave me a son that didn't want to be touched. How about those apples? My baby, who was 6 months when Bill died, he had some brain defects. He's okay now, but he had some brain defects and was almost like autistic on the spectrum, high functioning autistic. But you know, autistic people, they don't want to be touched. So here was my baby and here me kissy mommy, and he'd scream like crazy when I pick him up and touch him. I got so frustrated, I put him down, he'd stop screaming. Oh, he doesn't want me. That's right. He wanted to be alone. And so here he is, 36 years old today, and now he will allow me to hug him. But just like this. It's not really touching, but it's a hug. It's enough. And he touches the cheek and everything. It's enough. It's all he can give. So if you're like that, God bless you. You can learn. It may not be pain. It may be painful, but you can learn to touch other people. Because human touch is what keeps us alive. It keeps our energy going, and everything is about energy. And you guys know that it's about energy. If you get in a car, let's say you're in a carpool and you're going to office one day and you got 3 or 4 or 6 people in the car. Everybody's happy, talking. Yeah, it's the morning, you got your coffee, driving, everybody. And there's one sourpuss that gets in the car and he's grumpy. Within 10 minutes, everybody in the car is going to be grumpy. Have you ever experienced that, Chris?
I have, but yeah, and it annoys the heck out of people when I'm everybody else can be grumpy around me and I'm not, and then they really get grumpy because
So they, yeah. Well, that's something that's interesting about you. I'd like to know more about that because that's a personality trait that is very strong. I told you earlier, if there was an earthquake, a fire, a flood, a disaster, I want you next door to me because this guy is the man of steel. He's just the most beautiful human being I've ever known and just solid. So if ever you have an emergency, call Chris. He's the one that's going to help and save the world.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
I'll
you
be
will.
doing. I've been doing. I'd probably do it, but you might not like some of those jokes. I tend to. Again, I mentioned this a little bit before, but I kind of deflect with humor sometimes, and it's not always picked up.
Well, then you know you're not around the right people. Pick your people. The ones who get your jokes and laugh at your jokes, those are the people, oh, okay, come on over here. The ones who don't, no more. Because we're only as good as the people we're around. I mean, you know that. That's just the common law. That's just, you're only as good as your friends. You're only as good as the people that you believe in and your leaders who you look up to and believe in. You're only as good as they are. And so we have power. We have self-control. We have power. And getting back to the point of procrastination, when you give your power away by procrastinating, you're doing damage to yourself. And that's a hard reality. And you may not feel it or see it, but it's adding on if you continue to procrastinate. Because everything I just talked about the last half hour, you've got to be in control of your life. You've got to be in control of your situation, your home, your business, where you are, what's on your desk. And procrastination does nothing but to create a pile of junk that now you got to go through the junk. Oh, I don't want to do that. Okay, then do it now. Make it an A. Even if you hate it, put it over here on the hate side. I don't want to do that. And this is the Candace. When you get over there and you have this pile of hate stuff you don't want to do, you're going to hear my voice. Don't do anything that doesn't make your giggle. But you got to get through this pile of junk first and get rid of that one by one. Okay, this is it. No more, no more, no more, no more. Don't procrastinate. Just don't procrastinate because what it does it creates in your mind the ability to be lazy. All right. Lazy is not a good word. Lazy, you think of somebody slouching on the couch, right? That's not lazy. Lazy is procrastination. And you don't want to be lazy. You want to be lazy for fun. And like I told you earlier, love being lazy. I love chilling out. My husband says, how come at the end of the day, at the end of every day, you just want to watch the news, watch television, just chill out? And I looked at him, I said, why not? That's what my brain needs. My brain is on fire all day, all day. And at the end of the day, my brain says, I'm done. I don't want to go to sleep, but I just need to depower, power down, power down. You can feel it. I can feel it. It's as real as if I'm like, okay, sit on the couch. I'm not there for long, but I'm there long enough so that my brain is revived. Now, I don't do business at night. I can't, my son is in Indonesia, Bali. And I can't even, he calls me, we're 12 hours different. He calls me at 6:30 at night. I'm like, honey, call me in the morning when I'm bright because I have no brain power. He's asking me all these questions. I'm like, anyway, pick your time, pick your time to not procrastinate is also another good thing, another good habit to have. Because habits, do you know what a habit is? A habit is something that we do repetitive, whether it be a good habit or a bad habit. The bad habits identify just to yourself. Close your door. Don't let anybody know what your bad habits are, but write them down to you and yourself. Myself, and I, we are best friends. We never argue, but we gotta be in control. Write down. And there's eye-hand coordination that happens to your brain. Don't do it on the computer. Don't do it on a spreadsheet. Don't do it. Write it down. But I don't like to write. Write it down. Because what happens, it's a tactile from your brain to your hand. Write it down 1,000 times if you have to. I teach my people, wax on, wax off, 1,000 times. 1,000 times. Yeah. And what was the thing that Bruce Lee said that but he would rather compete with a guy who had practiced 10,000 kicks one time, but he never wanted to be with a guy who practiced one kick 10,000 times, right? This is the name of the game. This is at least for my people. I'm teaching them the system where they can get 300 to 300, 500, 5,000 bucks a day, depending on what they put in and their risk tolerance, which I don't recommend that. I just recommend really small because 300 bucks a day, they, that adds up, honey, when you're in your jammies in the morning before the sun comes up, at least here in California. So pick something that you love to do. I don't care what it is. If it's gardening, go into gardening. Figure out how you can make money gardening. If it's stargazing, figure out how you can get into the telescopes and do something with you love. Because if your heart doesn't giggle, guess what, guys? You're going to end up hating it or you're going to end up procrastinating. So the name of the game is we have to figure out, number one, identify what you want, what makes you happy. That's the number one thing. I have a little lady friend and her name is Destiny. And she's young, very young, and she's trying to figure out what she wants to do in life. And she has the most magnificent father, but she resists her father because they're both alike. You know, the old saying, apple doesn't draw fly. Exactly. She's a mini me of him. And he's stoic. He's very stoic and loving, but he's stoic. And she's stoic also. So I'm working with her to realize and understand that it's really okay to love your dad. And it doesn't mean anything other than just forgive him for everything he's done in his life. And he's going to forgive you for the things you do because we're human beings and we're going to make mistakes. And so expect to make mistakes. And when you make a mistake, apologize. It's amazing. When you're humble, do you know what that means? It means bowing down to something greater than you, just being humble. And I learned that hard way with my hubby because I was as stubborn as a mule. And we, in the very beginning, and I almost lost him until again, got therapy because I always believe in reaching up to someone or something that has more intelligence, knowledge, experience, training, answers than me. I don't have it all. And so I have no problem hiring somebody to help me. And it became is that be humble. And I tried that once when we were in a heated argument and I went in my office, I steamed around a little bit and I thought, let me try this. Maybe I was too brusque. Maybe, enough maybes. So I went back into him and I said, honey, I'm sorry. I made a mistake. His power became soft. We hugged, we kissed, we made up. And so softness rules every time. Even if you know you're right, be quiet and let the other person have their power. And then reconcile some other way if you know you're right and they know they're right. and let's say like for instance my destiny friend, and she and her father are going to argue because they're exactly right. That's a given. So I told her to go to him and say, Daddy, we're so much alike. When we argue, is it okay if we argue, but we argue in healthy? And he's going to teach her how to argue healthily. Listen, that's called negotiations. And to learn it at an age of she's 12. If somebody would help me at 12, I would have saved so much pain and heartache that I had. But help those who are younger. You guys reach down and help those little ones up the ladder of love. And just life is about love. It's all about love. And when you can love and you love wholeheartedly, you give, it's scary as heck. Yeah. That means being vulnerable. But what's the worst that's going to happen? The old cliche, I'd rather love, what is it? I'd rather have loved and lost than never have loved at all. Because being in love is like, whew, that's why God put us here. So anyway, I've taken up the whole floor. You go ahead. Your turn, Mr.
No,
Chris.
no, no. I've thoroughly enjoyed the conversation and your stories and your energy, and I'm sure our listeners have as well. I particularly love that kick the can down the road. I'm going to use that one because you want to pick up the can, but no, you're kicking the can down the road until it's old, rusty. You pick it up, and then you finally pick up and you get tetanus because you scrape your hand.
Yeah, right. Then you say, why did I pick that up? But then it's done. Done is better than perfect. All right, know this, that I'm a creator, a course creator. And here in this digital world, three-dimensional world, that's what we do is we create courses and we offer them to people to help people. It's always about helping people. And so I'm always creating a course. And how can I make this better for the people? And procrastination always comes up because I'll hit that wall. Well, I don't, the other side of me, you remember, it's always, you have it too, me, myself, and I. Right? We never argue. We just go around like this all the time. But one of them will say, well, I don't know anything about that genre, that niche or that person. And then I calm down a little bit. I go, well, learn about them. Learn about them. Look, we got the internet. Look, all you have to do is Google it. I mean, good grief. Look how fortunate we are. Just Google it. Find out more. Ask more questions. Get involved. Get interested. Dissect. That's all what life is about, is everything that's revolving around us is going to be there forever. And all we have to do in this beautiful world is reach out and grab it. And then we got it. Then we got to bring it home and fix it, because it ain't going to be perfect if it's out there on the internet. It's going to be wild and crazy. But figure out something you want to do, getting back to the reality of life. Yes, procrastination is a pain in the, you know what? We can control it. We can control it. And anything that we can control, that we are in control of, boom, we've got to do it. Because what that does is that shows and teaches your brain, she's serious. My brain, your brain's going to be he's serious. He means this. And I say this all the time. I pray first because I'm a believer. I pray, but give me the power to do this. Give me the knowledge and the vision as to where I can go and how I can most beneficially serve people. And I'm telling you what, guys, I'm not woo woo. But the next day, within a day or two, Chris arrives. All right, when I ask, I receive. And so I just believe in that. And that's my belief system. So your belief system is either your best friend or your worst friend. And those of us, because I had a miserable childhood growing up. We grew up very, very poor. Money was everything. And I was on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, as they say, in school, because my mother was a divorcee. And this was long before Mary Tyler Moore made it okay on TV to be a divorcee. And so I was shunned by my friends because, ew, you don't have a daddy. Ew, like I had some sort of a disease. So what did those beliefs form in my brain? Ooh, you're nothing. Ooh, you're terrible. Sit down and shut up. Negative, man. Oh man, my self-esteem was in the ditch. And when your self-esteem is low, you have no place to go, basically. And that's what we have. A lot of these homeless people living on the streets, that they just had nobody to love them and coddle them and say, it's really going to be okay. Just have faith. Look up and know there's going to be okay. And that's it. That's just a really simple way to do it. But it starts with knowing what makes you happy. And if there's just so much that we can do with our life, and it doesn't matter. If it makes you happy, let's say, okay, for instance, I love horses. I am horse crazy. Everything you possibly know about, ever since I saw one when I was 3 years old. Oh, I want that. And I've had a horse my whole life, except right now. My beautiful, wonderful quarter horse died about 4 months ago. And I've been just I couldn't go pick up his ashes because I was so crushed because he's my buddy for 30 years. And so here we go around where I had to talk to myself like I was a child. Come on, we're going to go do it. He was special to you. You need to bring him back home. So this weekend, I'm going to drive out there and go pick up his ashes. And did I procrastinate? You're darn right. You're darn right. Did it matter to anybody but Tank? Tank was dead. And yes, I believe in his spirit and his soul, but his spirit's in my head. It's not in his ashes. Human beings, now, different story. I totally believe in the spirit of the ashes. I totally believe in that the human spirit lives forever. That's just my belief. And so it's taken me this long and this many years, and it's done me well. And so, yeah, I procrastinate. We all do it. And why did I procrastinate? Because I'd go out there and I'd boohoo cry the whole way. I couldn't drive. That was my excuse because it's like an hour drive to go pick up his ashes. And now it was an hour drive, but now because PCH is closed, we had these horrible fires in the Palisades and the Malibu, 7,500 homes burned. It looks like a bomb was dropped, literally multiple bombs, a war zone. So the highways are all closed. So what happens when the highways close in LA? A normal 1 hour trip ends up 2 hours one way, minimum, maybe 2 or 3. That's an excuse, but it's a real excuse. So now this weekend, I'm going to go on the weekend. So hopefully there's less traffic, and I'll go pick up my big boy Tank. You see back here, that's Tank. See that thing on the wall? It's so beautiful. And I cry every time I think about him, but I haven't had a horse in 4 months and I'm itching to get a horse. And that's a whole nother story.
Well, Candace, it's been, man, I could listen to you all day. I could just leave this on me. We do it all day. But
You're so sweet.
unfortunately, we do have to get going.
I know. Look at this. We've been here all day. All right. Well,
No, I know.
Chris is going to come down here. He's going to be the protector of the whole block. He's going to come down to Southern California. I'm going to get you a house right near her. And then you could do your podcast from the house. And he's going to be the protector. And you can bring all your family and friends.
I'll hold you to that. I could use someplace warmer.
Yes. Oh, yeah, honey. It was 80 degrees yesterday.
It's
Yeah.
50.
Yeah. But see, but here it is March. And think about it as in August. I mean, it's almost unbearable in August. It's too hot. But there's nothing perfect. Nothing perfect, including you. The people who are watching and listening to listen, honey, there ain't nobody perfect. And all you can hope to be is the best that you can be. And when you're in control of something and you have the ability to control it, like this procrastination thingy, just say, I'm not going to do that. I'm in control. Heck no, I'm not going to do that. Or even better yet, I don't want to do that. I'm going to procrastinate on this one more day, but tomorrow I'll tackle it and I'll do it. So it's a win-win. Instead of you giving up and saying, your brain saying, I don't want to do it right now. Okay, give him 24 hours. We're going to do it tomorrow. It works. And so does humor and love, guys. If you don't have love in your heart, well, go find it. Go find it somewhere. Because everybody that's out there, I don't care where you are, who you are, what planet you're on, or what status you are. I don't care. If there's people who need you, you can find love. Because the people, when you give your heart to someone else in a way like this, to helping somebody in the supermarket, at the grocery store, whatever, helping somebody, that gives you heart. That makes your heart come alive. And unfortunately, there's so many people, what I've found in my walk, so many people who their hearts are not dead, but they're dark. They have no joy in their life. They have no happiness. Everything is drudgery. Why? Because, and I don't know why, their stories are, they couldn't find, or they didn't know how to find happiness. That's it. That's the answer to life and love and longevity. The people, they've done studies about this. Is not a Candaceism. They've done studies that the happiest people in the whole world live to be 100, 102, 103. And they eat what they want, they drink what they want, but they laugh all day long. So my next invention, because I love to invent things, is a happy, not a pill, but a somewhere, you love your jokes. When I'm sad, and this is, you guys figure out ways when you are sad, because you don't need to be sad. Nothing, unless someone that you love is sick. That's another story. I watch cat videos on YouTube. Dog videos. They're hysterical. I'm laughing. And let me tell you something. You can't be upset when you're laughing. Try it. Just giggle. And all right, Chris, giggle for me. There you go. That's it. A giggle. And everybody home, try it. Just do a giggle. That's all. Just try it. I did this in the nail salon a couple of weeks ago where I was just getting my toes done, which is one of my pleasure. But anyway, there was 10 women sitting in the lawn of, you know, how they go against the wall. And the lady next to me, she said, well, what are you teaching today? Because I teach this to my people, is how to giggle. I said, I'm teaching them how to giggle. She said, giggle. I said, yeah, do you know how to giggle? And she went, I said, no, giggle. Like a, she giggled, and every woman down the line giggled. It's contagious. You can't be sitting there and giggle and somebody sit there with a straight face. You just can't. So the moral of the story is don't let life get you down. You get control of everything you can be in control of. And starting first is organizing and no procrastination. Focus, focus, focus on what you want. Make it something that giggles in your heart and then go after it with no breaks. Nothing's going to stop you, and make a plan how you're going to get there.
Love that. Such a powerful note to to leave our listeners with for sure. Just before we go though, Candace, what is the best way for our listeners to reach out and learn more about you and what you
They
do?
can reach me. They can go to commoditiesuniversity.com. They can go there. It's a website. It's got everything. But if you really want to reach me, I give my email out as CP, which is Candice Pendleton at commoditiesuniversity.com. You can email me and just do that. If I can touch your heart, make you happy, even in a phone call, we'll do a Zoom call just to make you happy, just to see you giggle. Like Chris, when I first got on the phone with Chris this morning, he wasn't down by any means. He was just Chris. And by the end of a half an hour, I had him giggling. Well, you saw him just then. And that's what is contagious, is being able to share your joy and your energy and your love to other people, to know it's real. So yeah, email me, CP at commoditiesuniversity.com, and I'll email you back and see how I can help you and what I can do to give joy in your life so that you shine and you're happy. And then promise, you got to turn around and give that joy to somebody else. Thanks for having me, Chris. You're such a sweetheart. Come see me anytime. You don't have to be the protector of our block. You just come see me, or I'll come see you.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that. I like lots of big expensive gifts.
Yes. Oh, I'll bring them. Oh, and I want you to be one of our wealth mentors too. We have a community, wonderful community of traders and investors. And I bring in people to be on spotlight. I just call it that. You're offering something of your joy and something of your education, your training, whatever it is that you've done in your past in your life, you're offering it to them, and you're just telling them and showing them and teaching them, but whatever it is that you do. And so that benefits them. And then, yeah, we'll talk about that. How do I reach you, Chris? You email me. All right. You got my email. Email me and how I can reach you outside of the Riverside.
Yeah, no, for sure, no problem. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Candace. And just to all our listeners, one last time, yeah, don't worry, we are going to put that in the show notes for you, so it's easy for you to find. And just remember, if you can't find that motivation or inspiration for yourself today, maybe just go out and try and be that motivation or inspiration for someone else. And we'll see you again next time.
Bye, everybody.